Hello everyone. So we are now jumping ahead into Unit 5, which is all about financial literacy. Now, if you keep in mind, for shorthand, we often call this class economics, but the full name of this class is economics with financial literacy. It was just this school year that they decided to change the class and make it economics with financial literacy, which is something I've been pushing for and wanting for quite a long time, because in all honesty, between you and I, and do not tell my bosses I said this, financial literacy is probably the most important thing we do in this class. Supply and demand is great, scarcity is great, learning about the factors of production is great, but when it comes to real life applicability directly affecting you guys about to enter that infamous real world, financial literacy is the most important thing we are going to do the entire school year. Okay, so this entire unit is based around this. Consumers are faced with many decisions regarding their finances. Duh. And I'm going to share with you all over the course of the next few weeks how to make the best decisions, how to make informed decisions regarding your finances. So our first standard for this particular unit is going to be to construct a one-year budget plan for a specific career path, including expenses and construction of a credit plan for purchasing a major item. Now, I'm going to interpret that standard very loosely, and we are actually going to be tweaking that standard ever so slightly to better fit our purposes. Instead of constructing a one-year budget plan, you're going to be constructing a one-month budget plan. And instead of it being a specific career path, you are going to do your current career path. This would be way too easy if we're all going to be doctors and lawyers, making $200,000 a year. This is going to be right now. Those of you with a part-time job, that's going to be your career because it's realistic, because it's real. Those of you without a part-time job, we are going to pretend you have a part-time job making minimum wage. Do you want to know why? Because it's realistic. It's real. It's probably, in the short term, what's going to happen. Now, if you're 25 years old making minimum wage, you're doing something wrong. But 17, 18, 19 years old making minimum wage, you're exactly where you should be. So let us move on. We have one LAQ. What is a budget and its essential components? So everything we do in financial literacy, when we get into the stock market, when we get into buying a house, buying a car, renting an apartment, it all comes from having a established budget. A budget is the foundation, the pinnacle, the single most important thing when it comes to financial literacy, if you will. So everything we do for the next several weeks is all dependent upon establishing a sound budget. Now, you all are probably going to hate me in the next few days when it comes to how specific our budgets get and how realistic they are, but hey, if you want to be successful financially, that's exactly what it takes. So the budget is going to be paramount for quite a while. Okay, so here's the deal. We had to cover some vocabulary. So if I were to ask you guys, what is financial literacy? Some of you may respond, the ability to read finance. And that's kind of a clever, cute answer. But what I'm looking for is, by the way, this is not going to be a test question. I'm not going to quiz you on what financial literacy is. I just want you to understand the subject we're talking about in general. So I Google searched, what is financial literacy? And good old Google provided me with this. Financial literacy is the ability to understand how money works in the world, how someone manages to earn or make it, how that person manages it, and how he or she invests it, aka turns it into more. And we are referring to the stock market there in particular. So what is a budget? I Google searched what is a budget, and here's what Google the Wise responded. It is simply this: an account of income and expenditures for a specified period of time. That's it. It is an account of income and expenditures for a specified period of time. So before you even go about establishing a budget, there are a few things you must know. So before you even put pencil to paper, there's a few things you have to know. Average monthly income, fixed cost, and variable cost. Now, I'm sure in other classes you guys may have established a budget before, and there's going to be some similarities between the way you've established budgets in the past, but the way we are going to establish a budget in this class is going to be what I personally believe to be the most realistic and accurate way to establish a budget. So for this particular video, we are only focused on number one. How do you determine your average monthly income? Now, some of you may be saying, oh, well, that's easy, but it's a little bit more difficult depending on your situation. So there are several ways to determine your average monthly income. Okay, so if you are like me, you are paid salary, and I'm paid once a month. That means I get the exact same paycheck every single month. That's easy. My average monthly income is whatever my paycheck says. Because again, I'm paid salary, I make the same amount every month. Now, many of you with part-time jobs just starting out in your careers, depending on what you're doing, you're not going to be paid every month. Chances are you're going to be paid either weekly or more and more common, bi-weekly. So if you're paid the same amount weekly or bi-weekly, the best way to get your monthly income is to multiply your check by 4 or 2 respectively. So if you are paid weekly, how many weeks are in a month, class? 4, Mr. Jarrett. Oh, good, class. So you multiply it by 4. If you are paid bi-weekly, which I know many jobs nowadays do pay bi-weekly, you take your 2 paychecks for the month and multiply it by 2. Now, here's the catch. Everything I just said sounded very easy, but here is the deal. If you are paid a different amount each paycheck, i.e., almost all of you working a part-time job, you have to find an average monthly income to go by. Here's why. Let's say you're working in sales, you're working in the mall. Chances are you worked a lot of hours and were very busy during the holiday season. You know, we're talking November, December, January. And then when it's slow, March, April, May, your hours get cut. Some weeks you work 25 hours, some weeks you work 12, some weeks you work 35 hours, some weeks you work 9 hours. So how in the world can you establish a working budget with so much variability? I am going to show you, and it's all about averages. So right now, what I'm about to say right now, I think applies to most of you, because I doubt, there may be a few of you, but I doubt any of you make the exact same check every single week. The more accurate this average is, the better your budget is going to be. Okay. So if you are paid a different amount each paycheck, that is most of you, you must find an average monthly income to go by. So let's start with this basic example. Let's say I work at Gold's Gym, and Gold's Gym pays me minimum wage of $8.05 an hour. Now, each week my schedule changes. Some weeks they need me for 25 hours. Some weeks they need me for 15 hours. Some weeks I got sick for 3 days or went on vacation. I only worked 9 hours. When I come back, they're really busy. It's New Year's time with New Year's resolutions, and I work 35 hours. So here we go. I did the math, so 805 times 25 hours gives me a $201.25 paycheck. So I did this for 4 weeks. Let's pretend this is any random month. I did this for 4 weeks, and it turns out in this month, I made $692. One thing I want to mention to you guys, none of this takes into consideration taxes. We will be covering income taxes. We will be covering Social Security, Medicare, Medicaid, and how much those taxes are taken out of your paycheck. But for these examples, when we're establishing our initial budget, we are not covering taxes. I must emphasize that again. This looks like a lot of money, but about $100 of that or more is going to be taken out because of taxes, okay? But this does not include taxes. This is called gross income. Gross income is income before taxes, because it's gross how much money you think you make, but they haven't taken taxes out, that darn government of ours. Okay, so I make $692. So let me ask you guys, out of a 12-month year, do you think I'm going to make $692.30 every single month? Probably not. So even though this represents exactly how much I made in 1 month, do you really want to redo this every single month for a new budget? Of course not. So the more averages you can take, the more realistic your budget is going to be. So let's say that I've been at Gold's Gym now for 4 months, and I repeated the process that I did right here for 4 months. And here are my monthly incomes before taxes. So month 1 was great, I did good. Month 2, let's pretend I got sick or my manager is a jerk and hates me. Whatever it was, my hours got cut and I only made $575. I'm back up to $620, I'm back up to $655. So here's the deal. This first month, my very first month is the most money I made. Now, the way to get this average is to take these 4 numbers and divide it by 4. You're going to add them all up and divide it by 4. And that leaves me with $635.92. This number is what I want to go by. Now, if you'll notice, compare this number, 635, to this number, 692. It would be very unwise to establish a budget based off of this abnormally high number. This number is kind of an outlier. If you look here, this number is the highest number in this entire group right here. So you're basically assuming, which is bad, you know what they say about assuming, that you're going to make nearly $700 a month, when in reality, Again, guys, on average, you're making closer to $635. Some months you might make a little bit less. Some months you might make a little bit more. Some months you might make a lot less. Some months you might make a lot more. But on average, you are making $635 a month. So here we go. I have an alternative homework assignment for you guys. I'm talking to those of you with part-time jobs right now. I would like for you all to go to your paycheck stubs, or in most cases it's probably going to be your Wells Fargo, Bank of America, Mid-Florida, whatever account you have, and check your direct deposit. I would like you to perform this math and find how much you average per month for your current job. The longer you go back, the better. If you have 6 months worth of incomes to average, that's going to be even more accurate. If you only have 1 month to average, if you just got a job, average that. Just please try to find a fairly accurate average of how much you make on a monthly basis, not weekly, monthly basis. This is going to build up to another big project we're going to have in class, so the sooner you do it, the better. Those of you without a part-time job, I'll be getting with you and we're going to work something out. Okay, LEQ in review. So our LEQ is what is a budget? We said it's an account that tracks your income and your expenditures over a specified period of time, and that specified period of time is a month. And all we covered in this video, we only covered the average monthly income, how to calculate your average monthly income. It is easy if you are like me and paid a salary, the same amount every month. That's very easy. It's also easy if you're paid the same amount weekly or bi-weekly. You just multiply that number by 4 or 2 respectively. But most of us are not paid the same amount every week or every month. Most of you work part-time jobs. And the best way to get an accurate number there is to average multiple weeks and months together. Average. See, I told you guys math is going to come back and be useful in the real world. In part 2 of this video series, we're going to cover fixed cost and variable cost.